We're roasting cauliflower and carrots in the oven or air fryer for a delicious and nutritious side dish. They're tossed in light olive oil and simple seasonings and then roasted until they're crispy on the outside and tender on the inside. Hello, my name is Nicole Bonilla, and if you love healthier recipes to our favorite foods, then you are in the right place. I found that the best way to evenly coat the carrots and the cauliflower is to first put the oil and the seasonings in a bowl and then mix them inside the bowl and then put them into our sheet pan. So in our bowl, we're going to start by adding 2 tablespoons of light olive oil, or you could also use avocado oil. Now you're welcome to jot down these ingredients as we go along, or you can click on the link that's in the video description below, and that will take you to the recipe with all the details. Then we'll add a teaspoon of garlic powder, a teaspoon of Italian seasoning, half a teaspoon of paprika, then we're adding half a teaspoon of salt, and a dash of pepper. And then we'll just simply whisk these together. And then we can set this aside. Now for the vegetables, we're going to use 1 small or medium head of cauliflower and 3 about medium-sized carrots. I already sliced off the bottom of my cauliflower, so now I'm going to come in with just my little utility knife and then start cutting off the florets. And then it works best if you can cut them down to about a uniform size so that they cook evenly. So I like to cut them all down to about a 1-inch piece. And then once we've cut them all down into florets, we can just toss them into our bowl. And then for our carrots, we're just going to peel them. And I like to slice them on the diagonal because it makes them a little bit larger and equal in size to the cauliflower. But this also works really well with baby carrots that you would just slice in half. And then we can toss them in our bowl. And then I'll just take a nice big spatula and toss them in the oil, making sure they all get evenly coated. Now you have the option of roasting these in either your air fryer or in your oven. To do them in the air fryer, you would just dump this into the basket and then set the temperature to 400 degrees. Then you're going to cook them for about 14 minutes or until they're nice and toasty and soft. To bake them in the oven, I've just spread out a piece of parchment paper on my cookie sheet, and then I'm just going to dump them right inside the pan and spread them out. And we want to make sure they have plenty of room so they can roast on all sides. And then I'm going to put this into a 400-degree oven for 20 minutes. And then I'll take it out of the oven and just stir them around with my spatula just to make sure they all cook evenly. And then I'll put them back in the oven for about another 10 to 15 minutes or until they're nice and toasty on the outside but fork tender. Now, if you could use more healthy inspiration on a regular basis, I invite you to join my email list. All you have to do is click on the link in the description below, and that is the best way for us to stay connected. Well, here's our carrots and cauliflower right out of the oven, and they are gorgeous. You can see that they got nice and roasted around the edges. Now the cauliflower does have kind of an orange tint to it because of the paprika that we added. So if you prefer for the cauliflower to stay light in color, then you can just omit the paprika. They're perfectly fork tender and our carrots are nicely done. Blowing it so it's not too hot. That is delicious. I love how they're soft on the inside, but then have that nicely roasted exterior, and the seasoning is just right. I can taste those wonderful Italian flavors, as well as that tiny hint of paprika, and they have just the right amount of salt. And I love adding these to my main dishes because they cook up so easily, and the flavor is nice and subtle but delicious, so it goes well with just about any dish. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with me today in my kitchen. I've included the link to this full recipe, and it's in the video description below, which takes you to my website, gentletummy.com. And I also invite you to like and subscribe to my channel. And if you know someone else who you think would love this recipe, please share this video with them. And I cannot wait to have you hang out with me again in my kitchen.